Real Madrid's campaign starts on Tuesday at home against Osasuna. Xabi Alonso arrives in Madrid with new faces and a new spirit determined to regain Real Madrid's rightful place in Europe. With the arrival of Franco Mastantono, Real Madrid has completed 4 new signings this summer, with rumors of a potential 5th player arriving potentially. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 things that Xabi Alonso needs to address for this coming season. There's much more than just these 5, and I'm going to provide that as a bonus in the end, talking about the things that Xabi Alonso needs to do to significantly improve Real Madrid from where they were last season. Despite Real Madrid playing pretty poorly for most of last season, they only finished 4 points behind Barcelona in the league. And at the very end, I'll also provide a potential starting lineup and a preview to the game against Osasuna. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe as well. The first thing that Xabi Alonso will need to address at Real Madrid, work on with the players in the training ground, is figuring out how to improve the pressing from Real Madrid as a whole. Because on the off games, Real Madrid has attempted to press teams. In the big matches against Barcelona, against Manchester City, the game against Arsenal, some of the matches that we've had, Real Madrid has attempted to press. But teams have found it so easy to play through Real Madrid's press. And when Real Madrid has looked to press their opponents, it's opened up opportunities for them to slice them open, like we saw the game against PSG where they were just playing 1-2s around our press and they were finding all those spaces. And part of the issue from that is a lack of collective commitment in the pressing. So it's not a matter of getting players like Jude Bellingham and Fede Valverde to work harder off the ball, because we know they are always working hard for their teammates. It's getting a collective commitment from Vinicius, from Mbappe, from the other players. But in addition to having them work more off the ball, the pressing itself hasn't been that organized. Xabi Alonso is not a manager who's really known for gegenpressing like Jurgen Klopp, where every single player is working hard off the ball. That is not Xabi Alonso's methodology. But his methodology does depend on his teams having control of the ball. And there is no better way to create high quality chances than to be pressing your opponents, especially in those important matches where Real Madrid struggle to create good quality chances in front of goal. Under Carlo Ancelotti, some of Real Madrid's most successful matches was sitting in a deep block and being very decisive in transition. That's where we've relied on players like Benzema and Vinicius to exceed their XG and to be very decisive in front of goal. But we haven't really seen that last season. And that brings me to my second point, which is that Real Madrid needs to be a lot better this coming season without the ball. Last season, Carlo Ancelotti spoke in lengths after every single match in the press conferences about how Real Madrid needs to be better and more compact without the ball, because teams were finding it just too easy for them in transitions to slice through Real Madrid's midfield. And that's why we saw Carlo Ancelotti in the touchline oftentimes gesturing to the team to be more compact. Although we saw Xabi Alonso improve that this summer at the Club World Cup, you could still see signs of Real Madrid having a lot of spaces between their forward line and midfield. And that's why even in matches where we've been ahead, leading in a tie, Real Madrid has struggled to keep that lead. For example, the Clásico last season where we were up by 2 goals early in the match. Not only was there a lot of individual errors, but the team itself was so exposed and not compact enough without the ball. And one of the things Real Madrid can do to mitigate those types of issues is point number 3, which is to control games more. We are seeing now the rise to Arda Güler and Tchouaméni under Xabi Alonso. He has pointed those 2 players out as being absolutely crucial for Real Madrid in possession. Xabi Alonso has said that Arda Güler is a player that is much better when he's getting many touches on the ball. And that's what we saw in the Club World Cup. Arda Güler was having many touches on the ball, and he was being very decisive in finding those line-breaking passes. And Xabi Alonso has also pointed Tchouaméni as being a player who is crucial to his system, because Real Madrid plays in a hybrid 4-4-2 formation, but oftentimes will go to a back 3, and it's Tchouaméni who is then tucking in to play as that third center back. But Xabi Alonso has given that discretion to Tchouaméni to know when in the build-up phase to drop into those deeper zones, and then Arda Güler would drop into a double pivot to initiate the ball progression. But the biggest issue that Real Madrid had last season in games where they were playing better quality opponents, that they lacked control of the ball. Under Xabi Alonso, Bayer Leverkusen was a top 5 side in Europe in terms of possession. But in our match against PSG, where we were eliminated in the Club World Cup, Real Madrid's possession significantly went down. So it's against those high quality opponents that Real Madrid really needs to improve on the ball. And those solutions are going to be much different from most of Real Madrid's games, which I'm going to get into in number 4, which is finding solutions for deep blocks. Because 90% of Real Madrid's games are against teams that sit in a deep block and look to defend and just hit them in transitions. We saw Carlo Ancelotti try different solutions. Sometimes he'd play Jude Bellingham as a striker and then Kylian Mbappe would play off of him, where they would combine for these 1-2s. But we saw the production of Rodrigo and Vinicius go down significantly. And it's unclear if Rodrigo is going to be at Real Madrid next season or if he's going to try to integrate either 2 forwards, either Mbappe and Vinicius, sometimes bringing on Franco Mastantono. But the issue still remains. Real Madrid did end up losing more matches than we're used to because they were facing teams that were sitting in a deep block and they just could not find solutions. At times, we saw Carlo Ancelotti play Kylian Mbappe off the left to try and create overloads with Vinicius on the left-hand side. But Kylian Mbappe is not a traditional number 9. So Real Madrid again lacked that physical presence in the box. And that's why it's going to be a tall task for Xabi Alonso to integrate Kylian Mbappe with Vinicius to have a physical presence in the box, but also to control the games. And that takes me to point number 5, which is to improve Real Madrid's 1v1 defending, especially down the flanks. Too many times last season, we saw Real Madrid get done up on the wings. Unfortunately, Lucas Vázquez was the subject of many beatings down that right-hand side. Again, I'm not blaming Lucas Vázquez because he's not a natural right back to begin with. With the arrival of Álvaro Carreras, he is a world-class fullback. He looked sensational in his debut game. He's not only excellent going forward, but he's also a solid defensive fullback. And last season, we saw Trent improve defensively, and he's unquestionably world-class on the ball. But one of the things that's going to be crucial is not just the 1v1 defending down the flanks, which again is very important, but the overall health of the players. Where would Real Madrid have been last season if they didn't have injuries to Dani Carvajal, Eder Militao, both out for the entire season? Xabi Alonso said one of his tasks as the Real Madrid manager is to end the injury crisis at Real Madrid. Now there are new faces at Real Madrid who are responsible for ensuring the health of the players. I covered one of the new coaches that Xabi Alonso is bringing with him over from Bayer Leverkusen, so if you guys have not seen that video, I recommend you check that out. But it looks like Antonio Pintus is going to be playing a little bit of a smaller role for this upcoming season because Xabi Alonso has brought over his own coaches that he's worked with since Real Sociedad. One of the things that I look forward to in the season is more squad rotation, not seeing the likes of Jude Bellingham and Fede Valverde being played game in, game out, not being able to be rested. The overall exhaustion and fatigue of the team was so evident towards the end of the season. Everybody was being run into the ground. And the one thing I hope Xabi Alonso does, above all, is rotate the squad more and hopefully address the injuries within the team. There's no question that Real Madrid has some of the best players in the world. For example, Eduardo Camavinga is supposed to be the player who takes Real Madrid's midfield to the next level. But again, he has been injury-stricken. A player early in his career that never used to get injuries is now getting injuries back to back to back. And with Jude Bellingham still coming back from injury, Camavinga was supposed to be the player who really fills those shoes to cover for Jude Bellingham in the interim. The good news is João Martinez, Real Madrid's young wonder kid center back, is back from his ACL injury, and Xabi Alonso seems to be a huge admirer of him. So we could see João Martinez potentially being a part of the first team. But it remains to be seen what will happen to Raúl Asensio, because last season Raúl Asensio was so good for Real Madrid. And a few bad performances in the Club World Cup doesn't mean all of a sudden he's a bad player. But it does look like Xabi Alonso is losing trust in him. This is my predictive lineup for Real Madrid's match against Osasuna, the opening match. I do think the system will be very much a hybrid system where at times we will see Tchouaméni go into a back three, form a back three. Álvaro Carreras and Trent will push high up the pitch to try and create chances down the wings. But a new chapter at Real Madrid is starting, a new exciting chapter. I am very confident that Real Madrid will do big things this season. Make sure you guys stay tuned. I'm going to be uploading many more videos. Thank you for watching, and Hala Madrid.